I have done so many videos involving this Wuhan and mainly the arrogance of America. And this story I'm bringing to you hits close to home because of the location, but it still drives home the narrative of America's arrogance as a collective. This man's name is Sean Myers, and he is from Charles County, Maryland. Now, those of you who are not from the area, Charles County, from where I'm at, is about a good, I would say 30 minute drive from where I am. And it usually is filled with traffic, on a given day, but because nothing is really operational right now, except for essential jobs, traffic flow is a breeze. So I could probably get there in less than 30 minutes. And Charles County is more the Waldorf area for me. I don't really go past Waldorf when it comes to Charles County, but you have La Plata out there. Now, La Plata is like really flat land. And during a certain time of the year, you would think you're in Oklahoma because of the tornadoes that La Plata is known for getting. Like, that's the only place in Maryland that's known for getting hit consecutively with tornadoes. College Park, maybe, but La Plata, most definitely. I think the last time I had to go through Charles County past La Plata or in that area was when I went to the Nat Turner insurrection in Southampton, Virginia, a few years ago. But anyway, the reason why I'm talking about this guy right now is because he was just recently arrested for violating the social distancing order that's in effect by going ahead and having a bonfire that had 60 people there. Now, he definitely violated the social gathering of 10 people or less. He was 50 over, and you can just tell by his hair he didn't care that he violated that rule. See, this is the thing we're talking about. If you want to know why the Wuhan is continuing to spread, look at this guy right here. He had a whole bonfire with 60 people there. Who knows who is probably exposed to that in that setting or got exposed to it from somebody else? All it takes is one, and boom, you got 60 more infected people. And out of that 60, a little less than half of them probably will die because of sheer stupidity. This is why if they ever implemented something like martial law, let more stuff like this continue to happen. Now, I'm not saying that it's none of us that are contributing to stuff like this or why they have to buckle down, like with curfews and these extracurricular quarantine antics or actions, I should say. But the majority look like this guy here. And you have a lot of them who don't take it seriously. This all goes back to what I've been saying with the arrogance of America as a collective. Thinking nothing can happen to them because they're in the land of the free and the home of the brave. Because they're not in a third world nation, they can't be touched. Well, now he found out the hard way because he got placed under arrest, and he most likely got charged with something. I will not be surprised if they signed social distancing into a temporary bill. And I say temporary because I don't think this is going to be something that's going to be, it can't be on the books forever as a permanent thing, but just until they can get this thing under control. Because they're going to start issuing stuff out like this. They're going to start issuing out fines. They're going to give you citations. They're going to start arresting people like they did this guy, and you're going to probably get jail time. Well, see, I don't know about that. And see, that even that's a risk because they're allowing the prisoners who committed non-violent crimes to be released from jail because of the outbreak, the pandemic. But see, it's people like this guy right here who is acting reckless and careless that continues to aid into why this thing will not slow down. We know it's a progressive pandemic, but this guy right here and others like him make it no better. Now, what if he was to end up with the Wuhan? I wouldn't shed a tear. Just like I did that video about that girl, Ireland Tate, who made a video talking about she can't get the Wuhan and this, that, and the third. I'm going to still go out and have fun with my friends. And what happened a couple of days later? She came on camera again, crying the blues, talking about how she got infected and tested positive by someone, probably one of her friends. When they say social distancing, they mean just that. And people act like And Harvey actually touched on this in one of his videos about this. He said, we've only been in this for 2 weeks now. Maybe, was it 2 weeks? And he said, people are acting like we've been in this thing for months. And it's like people are so antsy. They just gotta be around people. I'm like, y'all have social media. You have these live streams. You have FaceTime. Talk to people through that. Because at the end of the day, it's all about your safety. You're talking about a pandemic that they have no control over. They don't have a cure for it as of yet. And who knows when they'll get one. We don't know whether or not to trust any of these vaccines. You had 45, I think, went out there and had some people take some kind of medication or some kind of vaccine, and it didn't work. And if I'm not mistaken, and don't quote me on this, I believe they died. Y'all may have heard about it. I don't have all the facts behind it, but they quickly brushed that under the rug. But when they say just stay inside, just do it. Otherwise, we're going to be looking like Italy. As a matter of fact, I believe they said that the U.S. has toppled Italy and China as far as the most cases with this virus. And it all goes back to doing stuff like what this guy did right here. I haven't even gotten to the article yet. Because it's absolutely ridiculous, because what this does they say it's not airborne, but if somebody was to have it and test positive and they cough or they sneeze, their germs are out into the air. And from what I heard, it stays out there for 3 to 4 hours, but it floats around in the air for so long. All you got to do is inhale whatever they coughed out of their mouth or sneezed out of their mouth and nose. And that's it. But people, like I said, Americans as a collective are very arrogant and ignorant. Got to throw that in there as well. They tell you this over and over and over again, and you keep thinking it's not going to happen to you. But then when it does, then it's like, oh my God, I can't believe this happened. I can believe it happened. I try to limit my outside time because I'm being smart. It's not so much about being scared. It's about being smart. And in the last couple of weeks, a lot of people in this establishment that's supposed to be so advanced have been showing how dumb they really are. It's unfortunate for many. It took a virus to prove that, but it is what it is. Now, I've already been talking for almost 8 minutes and I haven't even gotten to the article yet, but I'm going to go ahead and read it and see what other details we can find. But I just had to get that off my chest. A Charles County, Maryland man who threw a party at his house and if y'all can hear that in the background, they drag racing right now. Charles County, Maryland man who threw a party at his house has unintentionally social distanced himself from everyone after authorities say he was arrested for refusing to comply with the governor's order against large gatherings. Sean Marshall Myers, age 41, was arrested Friday night after officers found about 60 people hanging out around a bonfire at his home in Hughesville, the Charles County Sheriff's Office said. The sheriff's office said it was the second time Myers had hosted a large gathering since Governor Larry Hogan's emergency order banning gatherings of more than 10 people went into effect. Deputies responded to his house on March 22nd after receiving another complaint about a party there. See what I mean when I tell you about the arrogance? This was his second party or his second large gathering. The first time they gave him a warning, he didn't heed to the warning because apparently in his mind, they weren't going to come back he only got a warning. You can tell this guy is a rebel. You can just look at it by his hair color. This man is 41 years of age with a blue little mini mohawk. What does that tell you about him? It almost makes me question, what does he do for a living? Myers had agreed to disperse the crowd on March 22nd, but deputies say he refused to do so when they responded to the party on Friday. After authorities consulted with the state's attorney office, Myers was charged with violating Hogan's order. The sheriff's office urged the public to comply with the order for the safety, health, and well-being of all communities. As of Saturday night, there are 21 cases of the Wuhan in Charles County, and Maryland's cases have surpassed 1,000. Now, that's 21 in the county this man lives in. He had a gathering of 60 people the second time. How much you want to bet that many of them could have possibly been exposed? If that's the case, he could have exposed more people to this thing by having this bonfire, by his arrogance. And let me just tell you this. If one of them happened to be him, I would feel absolutely nothing. Because it's like I said, it's arrogance, ignorance, and sheer stupidity. They're telling you this for a reason. You mean you couldn't tell me that you couldn't just go without having a bonfire? Now, here's people who are doing it smart. I don't know for any of those of you who have Instagram and anything like that, but you have people who are DJs, like they DJ at a radio station or maybe they DJ at a club where they have their own turntables at home. They turn their Instagram lives on. They have people watch as they DJ, and they basically have digital parties where you can pretend like you're at a club or you can pretend like you're at a gathering, but it's safe. You're in your home, and people I've actually seen, they get dressed up like they're about to go somewhere and they actually just have a good time. I said, that's very creative, but you want to know what's interesting about that? You want to know what's real interesting about that? The people who are doing that I've seen so far are black. Now, black people are supposed to be the so-called low IQ people of this world, but you have people like this guy here who has a bonfire with 60 people, not once but twice, has in a county that has 21 cases tested positive for the Wuhan, and we're supposed to be the dumb ones. Somebody out there, please help me make it make sense, because it doesn't make sense to me at all. But they can, hey, as far as I'm concerned, they can continue doing whatever it is that they want to do. I wash my hands, literally, of it. Just don't come around me. Stay far away from me. Point blank, period. Y'all let me know what y'all think about this down in the comments. Like, share, subscribe. Make sure you follow me on Twitter if you haven't done so already. Have your notifications turned on, and I will talk to you in the next.